G'day investors and welcome to another episode of Stocks to Watch. My name's John Franklin, an experienced exploration geo and your host. Today we're taking a closer look at Rua Gold. Now Rua's advancing a portfolio of high-grade gold projects in New Zealand. Rua Gold controls ground in two of the country's most prolific districts, the Reefton goldfields and the Southern Island, which has historically produced more than 2 million ounces, and the Hauraki goldfield on the North Island, which is home to some of New Zealand's highest grade epithermal systems. Today I'm joined by the CEO and Director of Rua Gold, Robert Eckford. Welcome to the show.
Lovely to be here, John.
Great to have you on, and good to be talking to another Southern Hemispherian on the gold space. Now, the Fraser Institute just came out a couple of months ago, and there was a few kind of twists there, and with New Zealand surprising a lot, emerging as one of the leaders in the jurisdiction. Tell us give us a bit of a background of New Zealand and why now is the best time to be exploring.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it really did surprise a lot of people, and the Fraser Index, love it or hate it, really is a good sort of indicator of how sentiment is in the market for mining investing. And New Zealand appeared on number 11 worldwide. Sorry, number 12 worldwide, actually. Number one, though, in Oceania. So it beat all of Australia. I mean, I think a lot of this is thanks to the current government in power. They essentially came in 2023 at the end of the year. They'd gone through a long period of having Jacinta as the prime minister, and a lot of her policies were about sort of being very environmentally protective of the country, and maybe too much at one side. The pendulum sort of swung too far, and this new government saw it as a problem. I mean, they were sitting as a country that had no economic growth. There was high unemployment, at least for any decent paid job. And a lot of the actual Kiwis were off going over to Australia, working on the mining boom over there. And so you had this situation where you've got all these skilled workers leaving. You've got an economy with an aging population that's actually dwindling. And the new government that got into power came on that platform that they're going to turn this around and kickstart it. And mining is the big vehicle for that. Mining creates the regional jobs, very high paying jobs. It creates regional growth, and it boosts exports and foreign investment. So it is such a good vehicle to use, and they're using it very sensibly still. They haven't taken away any of the guardrails that were in place. All they're doing is streamlining the processing of permits and things like that to make them happen a lot quicker. Our feedback to the government leading into the election was that time kills all projects. If you can't get something moving forward, investors are bored, and capital is very liquid, and it'll move to another jurisdiction. And so the big focus was creating a fast track permitting timeline, which is now in place and legislated, where you can now get a mine permit in New Zealand in 6 months. And that's now being enacted. There's about 11 mining projects in that process that are going through that 6-month permitting phase.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, and especially in such a cyclical industry, time really is a major factor. So it's good to hear that New Zealand's taking positive steps. So stepping into the project specifics now, your Reefton project is located in the west coast region of the South Island. Give us a background of the mining history of the region and where your projects sit in relation to the old mines.
Sure, yeah. As you mentioned, this is an old mining town. I mean, it's called Reefton because it's a whole town of reefs, of gold reefs. It was discovered there as a gold rush town. There was outcropping quartz veins. These old timers came in there, and there was about 9 individual major mines that went over that district with grades of anything from 9 to 50 grams a ton. They produced this 2 million ounces, and this is in the late 1800s, call it 1870 up to about 1940. There's been no real decent exploration program run on there since these old timers were in there. And back in those days, you could only scratch the surface. The deepest you could mine before these shafts were all collapsing was 500 or 600 meters. And so where our land package is sits right over the top of 7 of these 9 historic mines. So we control the bulk of the Reefton goldfield. We're in this fortunate position where we say, we know there's a lot of gold there. It's a bit like I've worked through Latin America and Africa, and you follow what the artisanal miners do. In New Zealand, you follow where the old timers were, where it hasn't been touched since. And so we know there's a lot of gold there. It's just a matter of how economically can we find it. And we're very comfortable with the geology there, because the whole South Island of New Zealand, I'm not going to get too deep into the geology, but I know you're the expert here. But the whole Lachlan Fold Belt, which runs across the Victoria, Bendigo, Ballarat goldfields, runs all the way across to the South Island of New Zealand. So we're seeing these Fosterville style mineralization, the Southern Cross gold style mineralization, where it's narrow vein, really high grade nuggety gold. And once you find that system, once you find that ladder, you follow it and you prove out continuity. And that's what we're in the process of doing right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mentioning high grade kind of epithermal systems, if we cross the pond now to the north and head up to the Hauraki district, firstly, are there operating mines up there? And secondly, do you want to give us kind of the significance of the area?
Yeah, the North Island is one of these rare areas in the world where there's these huge epithermal gold systems. And we're in one of these areas in an amazing jurisdiction that has never been drilled before. So it's a very rare prospect, and it gets a lot of the geos excited about what we're doing right now. You've got an undrilled epithermal target and in an amazing jurisdiction. We're less than 3 kilometers from Oceania Gold's biggest pipeline project, Wharekirauponga, or WKP. That's essentially over 2 million ounces have been proven up. In M&I, it's 1.5 million ounces at 18 grams a ton. So we're talking amazing high grade. They're one of the first gold projects that went into that fast-tracked 6-month permitting process. So by the end of the year, we could be sitting less than 3 kilometers from a major epithermal gold project that's in construction. And that's essentially why we staked the land. We're very fortunate to have a COO, Simon Henderson, who's a geologist with over 25 years just in this Hauraki goldfield. He worked and discovered that WKP deposit over 10 years ago. So we've got the geologist that actually made the discovery 3 kilometers to the south. He's now spent the last 18 months across our district in Glamorgan, and he sees the exact same surface footprint as KP. And so he's really excited. He's also spent just 10 kilometers to the south of these two projects is Oceania Gold's Waihi mine that's produced over 10 million ounces of gold to date and is still going. It's still got 2 million ounces of reserves. So this is elephant hunting country. We've got the right team that's been there and has got a lot of time there. And we've got a land package that looks identical to a project next door.
Wow, yeah. I mean, that local knowledge can't be underestimated, and especially all of the undocumented knowledge that goes into operating in that district. So that's a big tick in my book. So now if we get on to what's next as far as exploration, what are your plans from here?
So right now, Reefton is our prime focus. We've got this historic land package. We actually started accumulating land there back in 2019, and we talked a bit offline about these things don't just come together off a quick gold bull market with a good government behind it. I mean, land is key, and you have to pick up the land when no one's watching, and that's what we did in 2019. And Reefton has got this amazing prospectivity. Currently, we have 3 drill rigs turning there. One is sort of darting around Reefton. We've got really high prospective targets. We use Verify AI system that helps rank our targets, which we could spend another whole session on if we wanted to. But really, we've got one rig going after these highly ranked targets using our Verify AI process. Then we've got 2 drill rigs on one prospect called Old Creek within the Reefton Goldfield. We've got 2 rigs there because we're onto the system. Just like I said before, if you find the system, you now want to prove out its continuity. So we're testing it north and south along strike. It's a 2.5 kilometer surface anomaly of which we know we've got mineralization from our drilling on the first 600 meters. And every single drill hole recently has hit the structure consistently. So we're getting good, consistent mineralization. It's very continuous. And we're targeting to have a resource there refreshed by the end of the year that's going to be over 300,000 ounces, and we're very confident we're going to get that. We've come out publicly and said that's our target. So a lot happening in Reefton. That's a gold antimony deposit, and again, I don't want to go on a tangent down antimony, but having antimony as a byproduct is so key in this market. When everyone's worried about critical minerals, when antimony is one of the scarcest critical minerals out there, we've got a system that's coming together. We're going to have a resource that's refreshed by the end of the year, and we're in a permitting jurisdiction that will allow us to get to cash flow very quickly, which is very important from strategic sort of investors looking for how to monetize on this critical mineral side. So a lot happening down in Reefton. But as I said, a lot of the geos get way more excited about Glamorgan because a monster epithermal is much more exciting from a geological point of view. And that's undrilled, and we're going to be drilling that in Q4 this year. We're aiming for November to have our drill permits in, and a lot of people are in anticipation just for that drill program.
Fantastic. So you've got a resource announcement coming up soon. You're going to be moving the drill rig to up north, and you've obviously got those antimony credits. If you just want to provide now a quick 30-second pitch as far as what is the investment case for Rua Gold right now?
Sure. I mean, if you're investing in junior mining, and we're in a bit of a frothy market, so you can sort of start throwing darts and hope for the best, but you always want to come back to the basics. You want the right people, and the people behind Rua Gold are serial company builders. We're not explorationists. We actually build companies, and we look to get them to that $1 billion mark. We look to cash flow. We look to develop mines. We've built 8 mines on time, under budget. This is not our first foray into mining, and this is what we do, and this is how we do it. We're now focused on New Zealand. And again, the second thing investors need to look for is jurisdiction. Are you going to have a project that sits there for 20 years through this bull cycle and never gets a permit, never gets approval from the community or the indigenous groups around you? We've got all that. We know we're going to get a mine into production. We've got huge support from the government. So you've got people, you've got the project location, the projects themselves we've talked about, but the final thing that's really most important as well is that we're sitting with $12 million in the bank. So we're not going to dilute any shareholder right now. We've got cash flow to get us through to the back end of next year with a very aggressive drill program underway. So catalysts and a full treasury is really a good time to come into the story right now.
Sounds exciting, Rob. Well, thanks a lot for joining us today. Do you just want to tell potential investors where they can invest, which exchanges?
Sure. As my fancy background here is showing us, we're TSXV and under Rua, the OTC as NZAUF. And we're going to be looked to upgrading that OTC listing up to the top level of an OTCQX by the end of the year. And then on the Frankfurt ticker is A4QYC.
Great. All right. Well, thanks for joining me today, Robert, and I look forward to hearing another update soon.
Thanks so much, John.